So I think we're done for the first session in the morning, or is there an 8 o'clock session? Am I the first? Okay, so I appreciate you guys coming out. I'm going to be talking about Web AR in today's session. So let's go ahead and get started. A little bit about me. My name is Tasha Penwell. The things about me that's most relevant for today's presentation, I'm an assistant professor at Ohio University in the College of Business. I have two small businesses. One is Pretty Nerdy Digital Marketing. The other one is Bytes and Bits. Pretty Nerdy Digital Marketing is kind of self-explanatory what it is. Provide digital marketing services to small companies. Bytes and Bits is probably where I spend most of my time on. And there is an AR component in there as well. And my focus is trying to bridge that gap when it comes to digital literacy and computer science education in the rural areas. Then I'm also a member of XRA, which is an association based out of Washington, D.C., where we're trying to improve the resources and availability of XR, which is mixed reality, AR, augmented reality, virtual reality, improve the awareness of it and the opportunities for people to be able to use it. So I can see somewhat of the people that we have here. The lights are kind of like right there. But do I have any educators? You can either clap or raise your hand. So I have any educators in the room? No. That's fine. Do I have any marketers in the room? No. Do I have any developers in the room? Okay. Okay, so everybody should raise their hands on the next one. Do I have any lifelong learners in the room? If you're a programmer or anything like that, you need to be a lifelong learner, right? New technologies. I used to teach computer science. I remember having a conversation with my dean is that, no offense to math instructors, but 2 + 2 always equals 4. And I'm having to learn the new technologies so I could be able to teach it. It's a lifelong, it's an exhausting, but it's also a lot of fun. When I taught computer science, I used to tell my students that coding is fun. It's fun, frustrating, and another F word, right? And the other F word can kind of depend upon the day, and it's not always fabulous, right? Okay, so with that being said, we're going to be talking about Web AR. Who uses Web AR right now in anything? Anybody do any kind of development with Web AR? What about just regular AR or VR? All right. So Web AR, is everybody familiar with augmented reality as a whole, like Snapchat filters? It's an overlay on whatever you see in real life. Okay. So Web AR is another way of doing that. So if you've used Snapchat and the filters, you've used an AR technology with the Snapchat app, right? It was dependent upon the Snapchat app. Same goes for TikTok. I don't think Facebook supports theirs anymore natively. I think they've kind of went into the virtual reality space, but they used to have it for Facebook as well. Web AR, you just need a browser that supports it. And pretty much any modern day browser supports it, Chrome being the one I go to the most, and even Safari. And I think we all know Safari is not always the one that plays friendly with others, right? All right. So to develop it, the platform I'm focusing on is Eighth Wall. And we're going to have some applications, do a review of it, and live being the fact that no internet, exists inside here, we're just going to be looking at some screenshots I put together. And I do have some resources that I think there is a Discord channel that I can share, and I do have some resources on how to access these things, or just my contact information at the end. All right, so Web AR, it allows the users to experience augmented reality through the browser, as I already said. It's digital content over the real world using their mobile devices. So you can use your iPhone or whatever the Android one is. You can also use your tablets. You can use anything to create a different type of experience. It's used web technology such as JavaScript and WebGL, and it supports features like Snapchat does, such as world tracking, image recognition, and interactive 3D content. So Eighth Wall is not the only one out there. The reason I went with Eighth Wall is because of the support that they have when it comes to the discussion forums, the community events, the tutorials. I highly encourage you to check out their documentation and YouTube channel. There's a lot of great resources. And their technical help is amazing. I had a question because I couldn't get something to work. I was trying to import a 3D file, and the format of the file will have worked, but I had exported it from Adobe Illustrator, and evidently it didn't like something about that, and they just gave me another way to go ahead and fix it. And this is like within a day. They were very, communicative, and I think if you've worked with any kind of technology, not all of those technology vendors are communicative or helpful. So that's one of the reasons I like this one. Another reason I use Eighth Wall for when I'm doing any kind of education workshops is because of the fact I did for years on Lens Studio. Has anybody used Lens Studio before? Okay, Lens Studio is for Snapchat. And it's free to use, but it requires you to download it on a PC or a Mac, which is fine if you have one. But whenever I do these education workshops, not everybody has a PC or a Mac that will support it. So everybody's got something that will support a browser. And this is completely browser-based. So that removes a lot of the barriers. As long as you have access to the internet, you can use Eighth Wall. And I even used it on my tablet yesterday. I was trying to see, I was kind of curious if it actually worked on a tablet, and it does. So we're going to go into Eighth Wall now. Niantic. Has anybody heard of Niantic before? Okay, got a couple? Got a few? Okay. Has anybody heard of Pokemon Go before? All right. Okay, that was augmented reality. So Niantic are the people that actually did the Pokemon Go thing. They purchased Eighth Wall. I don't remember when they purchased Eighth Wall, but they purchased Eighth Wall a few years ago. And if I remember correctly, the founder of Niantic, he actually worked with Google Maps. He was employed with Google. He helped create the whole Google Maps thing. How many people rely on Google Maps? Okay. But anyway, so let's go ahead and get into Eighth Wall. Some of the features within Eighth Wall is cross-platform support. You can do it on your iOS or Android. It's integrated with web technologies. It's pretty seamless, and it's a cloud-based editor. So again, that's one of the reasons I really like about Eighth Wall is you don't have to download anything. As long as you have access to the internet, you can build. It has a really cool IDE. Has anybody used Unity before? Okay, couple, okay. So the the IDE within Eighth Wall is pretty similar to Unity and other AR development platforms. It's compatible with other frameworks if you really want to go in depth on it, such as A-Frame, 3.js, Babylon, and Play Canvas. You can share and you can deploy these things through a link or a QR code. There's really a lot of cool ways that you can share what you're creating. And it also has built-in analytics for tracking user engagement. One of the things that I've learned just by doing workshops trying to teach AR primarily to high school students is they like seeing the feedback of who is looking at it, how many people are using whatever they created. So that's always a lot of fun because when you create something, you like people to see it and kind of want to see like, oh, you have hundreds of users, thousands of users. Has anybody developed any kind of apps or websites or web apps where they can see how many people actually engage with their content? Okay, it's nice, right? You want that positive feedback, right? Especially if you're a marketer, right? So the use cases for web AR includes interactive AR campaigns. You can do engaging learning experiences. So the demo that you're going to be seeing here is actually using something called Physics Collider within Eighth Wall. And I remember taking physics in college, and I did it because I had to, or they said I couldn't graduate. And I hated it so much. But when I started playing with the Physics Collider and just like some of the different elements within physics, I was like, oh, this is neat. And if I can see that being something that it would be to try to get people more interested in STEAM, how that can help engage the learning experience. You can do an event engagement. So you can do something like scan the Star Trek logo, and it can do some sort of something happening. And you can also develop PWAs, other types of web apps, as APIs, has all kinds of different features that are really well documented in their documentation. So in our little demo, we're going to go physics, not mystics. So I was trying to think of something that would go align with the Star Trek theme here. And I remember whenever I started, or whenever I asked a group of people, it's like how they think the internet works, and somebody said magic, so that just kind of went into my head. I have to tell people it's not magic. It's like there's technology that goes behind the scenes. But anyways, so let's go ahead and get started. Has anybody used Scribe before? Scribe? Okay. So Scribe is really cool. I use it a lot. I use it a lot when I'm teaching. And the reason I use Scribe is because of the fact I've learned whenever I'm doing any kind of demo, I'm going too fast or going too slow. I'm either going too fast for the students who are struggling with the technology, or I'm going too slow for the students who are able to keep up. So I lose everybody. So when I do these workshops, I usually create Scribe documents, and again, you'll get access to the link. And so what I have here is step-by-step instructions on how you can create the things. So it's eighthwall.com, and then you go to projects. And what's really great about Eighth Wall, again, it's free. Okay, it's free, so that's a big thing. It's web-based, so that's another big thing. And there's all kinds of projects in there and templates that you can look in there for inspiration, or just to clone the template and kind of get started and, customizing it for your own personal use. So I know I got a lot of developers in here. Did anybody just kind of copy code until they kind of figured out what it did? They cloned it, copied it, okay? So when you go into your project workspace, you'll click New Project, and it gives you can customize a URL. So when you create the account, you have your prefix with the URL with whatever your name is or whatever you created the account. And then you can create the suffix with the whatever you want to name it, and then the project title. And again, there's all kinds of templates that you can use. If I'm just feeling creative and I don't need the template, I just tend to start with an empty project. And then I click Clone Project. It'll be empty minus a cube. So I know some have used Unity before. Has anybody used any other, like maybe Blender? I can see some similarities with Blender. Like I said, Unity, Lens Studio. What is it? That's okay. It's okay. So you can see the platform is not dissimilar. Okay, you have the left-hand side, which has your objects, and you have your assets down on the bottom. On the right-hand side, you have your inspector. And on the left-hand side, you have your camera and your lights. Okay. So you can do is it starts with a cube, you can remove the cube, okay, and you can upload your own personal assets. So in this case, I uploaded an image that I just kind of went into AI and not artificial intelligence, Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator, and I did a couple of different things. And you can click the little plus symbol to add the object, okay? So there's 3D objects that's already available for you to choose from. You can choose from a plane, box, sphere, cylinder. There's other ones that you can choose from. On the right-hand side, you can rename these objects, so that will help you, for organization as you build something more verbose and just, all kinds of different assets in there. Also on the right-hand side, under standard material, you can change the color, but for me, I just click on that little image, and that image that I uploaded in the assets earlier is already there, and I can just click on it, and we can see that image is uploaded to the plane, the object I selected earlier. Okay. All right. You can easily duplicate it, which is what I did. Okay. And you can rename it on the right-hand side with the inspector. So you can also adjust the dimensions, the rotation, everything when it comes to these individual objects. On the right-hand side, you can see the position coordinates, X, Y, Z, the rotation, X, Y, Z, and the scale of X, Y, Z. Okay? So you can customize them individually based off whatever your needs are. Does anybody here like playing games? Like video games? Okay. So that's what I'm kind of thinking is it's like an interactive way that you can build a platform to create a game. And one of the projects that's available within Eighth Wall by default is actually a really cool, just a game experience. Like you can shoot the ball, you can do different things. And that's something that you can replicate on your own as well. The thing that's kind of unique compared to other platforms, AR platforms that I worked on, is this build, land, and publish. And that took me a minute whenever I first started learning the Eighth Wall platform, because I was so used to Lens Studio. Now, the build is like your save. The land, has anybody used version control? You guys are all developers. You guys know all about version control, right? To be able to roll back if needed. Okay, the land is like you're staging it, like you're landing your saves, and it has a version control that's built into Eighth Wall, which is another reason I really like Eighth Wall, because it has that capability in it. And then you can publish it. So to do that, you would click Build, and we can see that up on the top. We got the Build. And like I said, you can think of build as save. And then you would land it. And whenever you land it, we just like in version control in GitHub or any others, those other types of platforms, you have to put a message in there, right? And this message should be somewhat descriptive of the changes you make to it. That's a best practice. Now, do I always do that? No, I don't. But it is a best practice. So you add a message in there, and then you select land files and publish. Okay, you can add some additional of the project settings, so you can update your project title. You can add a cover image. I just kind of bypass that here and just click done. And that gives you a link that you can share with other people. You can share in the other socials. You can even embed it. Now, the thing to note about the free version of Eighth Wall is the link is only good for like 24 hours. If you want something more for development purposes, you got to get to a higher package. It's more of a paid feature, which makes sense, right? But this is really cool just to kind of get started with it. You can do a demo. So if you have a client that you want to share a potential, pitch of an idea, then you can create something, they can access it, they just let them know it's only good for 24 hours. And if you need it for another 24 hours, you can just publish it again. It's not a big deal. Right? So this is what the workspace looks like, and you can see there's all kinds of options. It already has I call it bit.ly, but it's just a short link. It has the longer link that has your name and everything on there. Then you have a QR code. You can embed it. You can also download it. So there's a lot of great ways that you can see. There's a lot of great ways that you can share what you created. You didn't really capture the screenshot, but also in the workshop or in the workspace settings, you can see the number of views and the dwell time overall. So next we're going to add a sphere. So back in our objects area on the top left-hand side, we click the plus symbol and we select a sphere. Okay. So again, we can use our tools here, our transform tools here, to change the location, change the rotation, or to scale the size. And we can place it wherever we like. And I forgot to do a recording of it and actually in action, so you're just going to have to kind of use your imagination. But basically what I did is I changed the color of the sphere to align with the gold color of StirTrack logo that I have here. And again, that is done in the inspector. And this previously I had uploaded an image. This time I just decided to keep it no image, but I changed the color. Another nice thing about Eighth Wall is the fact that it has an embedded simulator. So with Lens Studio, which again is for Snapchat, I usually have to look on my phone, get my phone out, see if I like it, do all those things. I don't have to do that with Eighth Wall. It's already embedded in there. So if I click play, click the little play symbol, it actually opens up in the window so I can see what it will look like on my phone or other mobile device. And I can change my phone settings. I just left mine on the default of the iPhone 15, but you can change it. So that's already in there. It's a really well integrated tool. And let's see. And the physics collider component is what we're going to talk about next. So it's physics, not mystics. I want to select the plane. So I'm selecting the first plane on the left-hand side. Okay. And we can see now the little triangle things is on that. And what I'm going to do on the right-hand side in the inspector, you might have to scroll a little bit, but you'll see a button that says New Component. Okay. And we're going to choose the Physics Collider. Okay. Within the Physics Collider, we see a box that opens up. We can see the shape. And the shape right now is set to auto, but you can actually change the shape. It does not have to necessarily be the shape of the object you have in there. So like right now, my object's a plane, it's flat. You can actually make it so it's a sphere or a capsule or a cone. So when you're looking at the physics of it, that will actually stop of the parameters of the cone or what the other shape is. And that can create like a little bit more interest in the gameplay. But for here, I just set it to auto, and I set the rigid body, just made sure it was set to static. And I repeat those steps for the second plane, because what that's going to do, whenever the ball drops, it's going to, instead of going through the plane, it's actually going to stop. It has physics applied to it. It's not going to go through the plane because it has a rigid body set to it now. So with the sphere, let's see. With the sphere, I got sphere selected, as you can see. That's where the little triangles are. And I go on the right-hand side, select New Component, Physics Collider. Here, I'm going to change the rigid body set to dynamic, okay, because the ball is going to roll. And again, I forgot to record the video to this. But what happens is, the ball will roll, and we can see this plane is tilted a little bit. I had changed that in the transform settings. I added a little bit of a rotate. And what's going to happen is that ball is going to drop onto that plane, and it's going to roll. It's going to go onto that second plane, and it's going to roll off. So we change that rigid body for the sphere to dynamic. And we can set the bounciness level. It has to be 1.00, or below that. And once it's done, you can click the play, you can kind of see how it looks. To update the project settings, so this is a very short, just like a little demo of like the physics collider. We added 3 objects. We updated some of the imagery on the objects. In your workspace settings, if you decide that you want to make any kind of changes. So again, I'm in my workspace. We can see physics, not mystics. I click those little ellipses. And I go to settings. I add a description. And I can also include a cover image. As you can see, the instructions are right there. Select confirm. And save and republish. and save and republish. And again, there are multiple options to share. So this is a brief trying to show you, introduce you some of the elements within eighth wall of how you can create the physics. So what I like to do is, if I'm thinking something more long-term, something more of a long-term play. Has anybody used Figma before? Figma is like a wireframing tool. I also use it like the whiteboard aspect, FigJam. What I like to do is actually go into kind of ideate what I'm going to be doing in the FigJam, in the whiteboard. Kind of get an idea of what I'm doing, and then I actually do the creation. And you guys probably have the same thing. Whenever you're in the developer, you have a wireframe mock-up of what you're going to be doing, and then like the functionality, because you can't think of it all at the same time. It gets, for me anyways, it gets overwhelming. So we can kind of develop a storyline, the gameplay. Like I said, I like to use FigJam and just kind of whiteboard it out, and then I would go into eighth wall and develop it. We go back into here, and that was a demo. Some of the best practices for web AR development is focus on mobile first, and I think everybody does that anyways anymore, right? Mobile first. I just finished teaching an MIS class in the College of Business, and I was really surprised such a tech-savvy generation, and some of them are still kind of perplexed on some things when it comes to what I consider some basics anymore. But anyways, you want to keep them lightweight, so compress files if you can. Ensure that accessibility and browser compatibility. Most browsers are supporting this, so that's not quite so much of an issue. But if you have a client who is saying it's not working, that might be the first troubleshooting steps, like what browser are you using? Is it updated? So what we kind of covered was the collider detection, so physics not mystics. Colliders enable the simulation to detect objects when they come into contact. So think about in games that you've played, or maybe even some CGI effects, special effects, how it actually works behind the scenes. It's not, there's the science behind it. So you can have your rigid bodies to help create the kind of aesthetics, and you can even adjust the friction. So on mine, I just said it left everything at default of the friction of 0. You can actually adjust the friction so it does not just move quite so smoothly. It creates some additional interference and the interaction overall. Like I said, you can change the rigid body, so the physics collider, so it's not the same shape of the object, but it's something different, so to create some additional interest. So like I said, they have great documentation, a fantastic and responsive tech support. If you have any questions at all, it didn't look like there was many people that had done web AR before, a lot of developers, so you might be interested in including web AR into your tech stack. I think AR is one of those new things that's going to change how people interact when it comes to marketing. It's already kind of changing things with like the native apps like Snapchat. But I think web AR is like another level of how you can create your creations. So that's my website. I put the Bytes and Bits email on there by accident, but it gets to me too, and you can also text me. And I can send you the link to everything. With that, I'm going to open up to questions. I am hearing impaired, so speak up. Questions, comments, concerns. That's how I usually end my class when I teach. Is this something that you guys think you might want to check out? Hopefully, maybe? Okay. It's actually a lot of fun because we are all lifelong learners, right? Okay. Hopefully. Okay, that's all I got. I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Of course. So does eighth wall do like large-scale environment mapping if we want to do something like an AR scavenger hunt?
Yes, actually, yes. So the question was if eighth wall would support something like a scavenger hunt, correct? Okay, yes. And there's actually, like I said, if we had internet, you could see more. But there's actually some maps. I think I saw it in one of the screenshots. There's a maps component. And let's see. Whenever I add an object, there was, let's see, there was a maps component. If you look into the eighth wall documentation, there is resources on how to create a scavenger hunt. There's projects that people have already created a scavenger hunt for. And if you look at the object, you'll see in the bottom of that drop down, there's a map option as well. Yep, good, thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns? What you got?
Is there a link to a mobile demo that we can check out right now?
What is it?
Is there a link to a demo that we can check out?
Yeah, it is. If you want to, I meant to put that in there in the slide deck, but there is. I published it yesterday, so it should still be good. Let's see. If you want to reach out to me, I can give it to you there. But there's a short link that in theory should work. You got a question, sir?
Yes. Well, actually, this is kind of what I was going to ask about, something that we can access now. Maybe you can describe, so have you engineered or developed a eighth wall product that's in production for another brand, or for, I maybe wanted you to describe a project that you've taken end to end. You described you started in Figma for developing your idea, and then you went into eighth wall to produce it, right? Can you maybe describe what
Well, I haven't done it yet, but I'm working on something right now. Okay, so so most of my stuff has been Lens Studio. It's been Snapchat, it's a filter, you got the logo and all that stuff. Eighth wall adds another level to it, which is one of the reasons I like it. But to answer your question, the question, just to repeat, he was asking how, describe a process where I started with Figma and then, fleshed it out in production into eighth wall. So what I'm doing right now is something with AR history. So I went to New Orleans a couple of weeks ago. Me and a friend of mine did. We presented at another conference. And has anybody ever been to New Orleans? Okay, it's an interesting city. Okay, there's a lot of history, right? And we were looking at, it's I wonder what that building used to be or what that building used to be, because again, it's a historical city. There's not really an easy way for us to find it. So to answer your question, what I'm working on right now is creating, using Figma to kind of wireframe. I'm wanting to create AR filters utilizing the eighth wall platform so people can kind of see the history as an overlay of some of those monuments and those buildings. Now there's people that already do it. If you go into eighth wall, there's some people that are already doing something like that. So it's not a new concept. But yeah, so what I'm doing right now, I'm using eighth wall, FigJam, which is part of Figma, to kind of do the brainstorming and to keep my information, because you can, if you're familiar with it, it's like a big old whiteboard. And I'm taking screenshots that I can upload into to the eighth wall platform. So that's currently what I'm working on right now. Have not finished it yet. School just ended, so hopefully that's a summer project. Thank you for the question. Yes.
Do you think that fits in with things like AI, right? Because I don't need augmented reality to say this building has this history that I had to build. Now I can just take a picture of it, and AI will tell me the history of that building.
Oh, you're absolutely right. You can take a picture of it. Now, what I'm thinking of is the setting that myself and a friend was, we were at the building. I didn't even know the address. So I took a picture of a building. It may not be distinguished enough to be able to, identify, this is a brick building. What do you want me to tell you? But we know there was something with it. 10 minutes left. But yeah, AI is a great tool. I talk about it all the time in class. It's not always the end game we want it to be. There's a lot of components with AI that, still being figured out. But you're absolutely right. If I had more information about the building and the location and all of those stuff, an AI could definitely tell me what that was. Yes. Good.
And it's coming along. You'd be surprised at what it can do now. You
Yeah.
can take a picture of your neighborhood and go, where is this?
Yes.
And it'll tell you.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that's where AR was going to be very effective, and I think AI is just going to go right past it there. I think AR is really for gamification, maybe, of business applications.
Yeah.
It's the biggest use I can find of it. Do you have others?
Yeah, there's definitely, AR is definitely used for gamification. There's no doubt about that. I think it kind of just depends upon the user. So what I tell my students, if they're going to create something, like you're going to create a new idea, it's okay if something else already exists that can be a potential competitor. It's like you're going to make yours distinct and different. It's like how many social media platforms are there, right? So I think AI is definitely one thing that can totally do that. I think AR is another thing that could be I tend to like small places, like I'm from a small town, and I don't know what all is out there. So New Orleans is probably not the best example because it's New Orleans. Good, thank you for the question. Any other questions? Thank you for coming. I'm blinded by the light. Yes.
So I looked at your demo, and when I think of AR, I think the interaction between your camera and
Yeah.
you moving around in the world. This looked like it was just static and I
It-
didn't use my camera at all. But
Well, it was just like a very simple demo. It wasn't, yeah. So did the ball actually drop?
Yeah, it did.
Okay, it dropped. Yeah, that was all the elements that I put into it. Because, again, it was like 80 some.
but it's easy to maybe have it use your camera and make things.
Yeah, you can add additional cameras. You can change the camera setting. You can do image targets. There's a lot of things you can do it. My goal was just like introduce you to kind of keep it just like, oh, this is cool. Whenever I do my workshops, I say these are CS workshops. To the kiddos, I say CS stands for computer science. To the adults, I say this is the cool shit. This is the cool shit workshops. And I want to expose the students to it. I just have to use words computer science. But yeah, it was meant to just like, oh, this is cool. It's like, what can I do with this? But it was very static, yeah. It's, questions? Appreciate your guys' attention. There's a Discord, you can find me on that. If you want to chat afterwards, but I think we're good. You guys are good to go to your next one. Thank you.